Well, hello and welcome to Bloomberg Quint. Agam and I are here to give you a gist of how the Indian markets did today. Well, Nifty, Sensex both extended a drop to over 1.2%. This actually marks the single biggest drop for the benchmark indices since November 21st. That was the last time we saw those levels. So the Nifty lost 106 points to end below 8100. Sensex also lost close to 330 points, dropping very close to that 2-week low mark. So with these numbers, both the key benchmark indices have pared their weekly gains, both trading about 0.4% lower after gaining nearly 1% up till Thursday. That brings me to the Bloomberg Quint poll of the day. We had asked if the Nifty was headed for the second consecutive weekly gain. 27% had said yes. A majority, that's 58%, had said no, whereas 15% were unsure. So well, the Nifty has ended in the red for this week, but that's as far as your stocks are concerned. What about FNO?
Well, as you can see, we have seen a decline around 1.3%, and the pressure, which means has been towards selling. Well, we have seen an increase of around nearly 2 to 3% towards the Nifty futures. Similarly, we've also seen an increase towards open interest with respect to the Nifty Bank, which means we have seen an accumulation, a further accumulation of fresh shorts in the system. This also resonated by what we've seen in the options market today. So we have seen more writing in the 8200 call, as you can see here in this spike in this blue bar. On the other hand, an unwinding in the 8200 put, which means you are looking at profit booking in not just the 8200 but the 8100 put as well. With respect to the range we're looking at, once again, that continues to remain within the 8000 call, I beg your pardon, 8000 put and the 8300 call, and that is what we're looking at even as we move into next week. Some amount of weakness certainly there, and well, once again, we are looking at 8300 as the upside for the Nifty in the time being.
Well, if I talk about sectors, Agam, not a single sector which actually ended in the green zone today. The banking stocks did pair some losses after the RBI raised the MSS bond ceiling, but they gave up those gains pretty rapidly or soon thereafter. So if you talk about the Nifty index, we only saw about 7 gainers on the index. So definitely a very unfavorable market breadth. Eicher Motor, that was bucking the trend, climbed for the 4th straight day. Now remember, the stock had corrected from 24,000 plus levels that it had seen before 8th November, and then it had fallen to a low of about 20,200. The stock is back to 23,000 levels. It has recovered most of its losses. In fact, Eicher Motors is also the top gainer for the week. It has risen as much as 13%. You also had Idea, Tata Power and Cipla as some of the stocks which are sitting on some minor gains. On the losing end, you had Asian Paints followed by Maruti and Tata Motors, which were the key laggards, all of them losing close to 3.5%. Hindalco stood out for the week, Agam. It was the biggest loser after metal prices corrected in Shanghai. So this is one stock which was having a good rally, but there's some correction coming in for this week.
Well, discouraging trends coming in for the broader markets too. So if you consider the Nifty 500 index, we have 1 gainer for 4 losers. Let's also address some of these losers in today's day of trade. We are looking at a lot of weakness in Bharat Financial. Remember, we had some brokerages coming in last week and putting in targets of well over 1,000 rupees, currently standing at around 697 with a decline of around 6.3%. Further weakness in MMTC followed by ILFS and transportation. Sun TV Networks, India Cements along with Tata Communications also losing out anywhere between 4.5% to 5%. Take a look at some of these gainers as well. Well, some gains coming in. Swan Energy up as much as 4.9%, followed by Timken India, Bliss GVS Pharma, as well as SH Kelkar now coming and looking at some amount of recovery. So this most certainly is short covering in some of these counters. However, considering the fact that we are looking at that advanced decline ratio towards the negative for the second straight day, this is a matter of concern, and we'll have to wait and watch whether or not we do see some recovery in some of these stocks even as we move into next week. Of course, it is going to be a volatile one because we're looking at the RBI credit policy as well.
That's correct, Agam. And before we go to the RBI policy, we have the Italy referendum on 4th December, which is a Sunday, which could have some implications for the European markets.
Right.
But having said that, it is not a as big or critical event as the UK referendum or Brexit was. But yes, all eyes on both these two events.
Yes.
But that's all for today's edition of Market Wrap. Continue to stay tuned to Bloomberg Quint, and yes, do join us just in a few minutes on thank God it's Friday, where we talk to Madhav Dhar on the implications of the global and the Indian central bank policies on the Indian markets.